Hari Om, sir.
Hari Om.
I also happen to be from that great state of Tamil Nadu, and you have
My sympathies are with you.
Sir?
My sympathies are with you.
My question is in line of that, sir. So, you refer to one particular ideology as a very terminal disease. What would be, in your opinion, the effective medicine for that ideology?
Which of the two? Both of them are terminal diseases.
The
ideology. Tiger or the snake?
I don't know which you refer to. Okay, sir. I'll say it. How do you think Dravidianism could be tackled?
Okay. Don't call it Dravidianism in the first place. What it is actually is secularized version of evangelical mentality. It is not an indigenous movement by any stretch of imagination. It uses indigenous actors to push a secularized version of a foreign faith system. That is the reality of it. Everything that they draw from, every principle that they draw from, is a principle of, it's a principle that has been derived from the Reformation, not the Enlightenment, where it is a neo-Reformation movement in a foreign land, where the Catholic Church has been replaced with the Hindu temple, and the Hindu Brahmin priest has been replaced, or rather, he is the new substitute for the Catholic clergy. And therefore, the experiment of the Reformation is being conducted in Bharat with the very same end goal, to replace that institution and the guardians of that institution, and in the process take over the community that depends on that institution. That is the history of it. I ask myself the simple question, could the Dravidian movement have withstood the test of time and history as an independent indigenous movement without the support of external actors? Evidence says it couldn't have. It could not have. The best possible example for this is when the Home Rule movement was going on around 1914. The person leading the charge in the South in Madras Presidency was Annie Besant. Because she was a member of the Theosophical Society of India, she had a huge interest in Hindu dharma, so on and so forth. So she was leading the charge. The British government or the British governor of Madras Presidency specifically takes the position, and this is how he starts inciting and giving support to the Dravidianist movement there, that this is a Brahmin-led movement, the Home Rule movement. And therefore, non-Brahmins unite. And then come three different communities, Mudaliyars, Chettiyars and Nayars, who are the founding communities of the Justice Party. The Justice Party is where the seeds of Dravidianism were sown. Interestingly, Justice Party was staunchly casteist. So it was not a fight against caste. It was a fight against one particular caste by three different castes. I'll tell you where the divide started. So the missionaries are constantly looking for an entry point into the Justice Party movement, because the first expectation of the missionary movement is established, which is go after the Brahmin. They started that. But going after the Brahmin is not sufficient as long as the other Hindus retain their caste identities. Because when they tried to introduce in the manifesto of Justice Party that we will abolish caste, how could they do so? Because they were after all fighting for their castes. So they removed that from the manifesto. This can't happen. The movement away from their own caste identities towards the Dravidian identity takes close to 20 years. And this is because of constant feeding of resources. So the British colonial establishment, along with the missionary establishment, is giving them help, saying, we will help you pit yourself against the Congress, this North Indian Brahminical patriarchal entity, provided you start dancing to our tunes. And slowly money is fed, the strategy is prepared, manifestos are outsourced to the colonial establishment for preparation. This happens for a period of 20-25 years. So the movement that you subsequently see from the Justice Party movement to the self-respect movement, which is the Dravidianism being formed, is the movement of an internal fight transforming into a clear external actor taking over that fight. This is what happens when you involve an external player in your internal discussions. You can continue to have your difference of opinion as to which caste is dominating, which caste is supreme, so on and so forth. You can keep fighting till the cows come home, pun intended. But do not let the other person have a table or have a seat at this table. He has no business talking to us. Because when Muslim communities have their own differences of opinion, do you think they don't? Of course they do. Is a non-Muslim given an opportunity to sit and participate, let me help you with social justice as my goal? No, he'll say, get out. You have no business being here. That is our problem. So today as it stands, and at least for the last, it started in 1917, you add on the 20 years, I'd say around 1930s is when its true Christian form came out. 1930s, you're close to 2030s, 7 years, close to 90 years. The last 90 years is a history of a secularized Christian movement passing itself off as an indigenous movement, where it has effectively led to deep fissures. The worst possible secessionist movement in this country is not the Kashmiri movement, is not the Khalistani movement, it is the Dravidianist movement, and there is a reason for it. Kashmiris picked up the gun, or Kashmiri Muslims picked up the gun, making it possible for us to identify the problem. Dravidianists continue to be part of the democratic ecosystem. So you don't see them as a problem because you think they don't resort to violence. They do, but in controlled spurts. But the rest of the game is played by taking over institutions, academic institutions, media institutions, political institutions, and finally the end goal, religious institutions of Hindus alone. It is the worst possible form of cancer that could have ever afflicted, because the Kashmiri problem is a problem since 700 AD. It is a continuum of it. So it is identifiable. And it is an external problem. This is a problem which is internal in that particular sense because it has entrenched itself. It is the Trojan that has been introduced into the mind of the Hindu civilization. Next.
All right.
So you fight it by first calling it what it is. Dravidianism gives it legitimacy. Don't call it Dravidianism. It is secularized Christian movement, period.
And just adding on to what Sir just said, ask any Dravidian functionary or ideologue, right, and its subsequent political outfit, the DMK. Ask a question whether it has, given a ticket to any candidate not based on the caste domination in a particular constituency. I don't think they would have an answer for that. I think that's a testament to the fact that what kind of a quasi-anti-caste movement that movement is.
No. Every leader in this country who says he will kill caste has only entrenched caste. And some framers of the constitution are no exceptions to that.
We'll have someone from the back.
Every caste emancipator has been a caste entrencher.
Hariom, sir.
Hariom.
Sir, it has always been a pleasure to hear you. And my question is that right now I think the biggest problem or the biggest threat to this generation is Wokism. And it has been rising over all Europe and America. And it has finally arrived in India. And sometimes the problem is that they use some of the texts from Hindu scriptures to justify them. I don't know where do they get them from. I think they read the Max Muller translation. So how are we going to tackle this? Because I think that people think that these things are natural and these things have evolved over time and we are modern, so we should accept it.
I know what you're talking about. I'll answer that directly.
Yes, sir.
So during the course of these arguments in the Supreme Court on same-sex marriage, here's how they used our own scripture against us. So when the Sabarimala argument was going on, they basically said myth, legend, bring in constitution. When the same-sex argument was going on, they said Ayyappa himself is the product of same-sex marriage apparently. This was the statement and submission made. Please go through the updates, you will see. I don't want to name the senior counsel who made the submission, but they said this. This was the exact statement being made. So when it suits them, they will come after us. When it suits them, they'll use our Puranas and Itihasas to to beat us. And that was in fact even an incorrect statement. In any case, this is how they tried to present the argument. Then the next level of argument that was presented, and I'm sick and tired of this example being thrown around as if it's a sign of open-mindedness, the Khajuraho temple example. Everyone cites this example to say, look at the sculptures there, we were so open. How do you not know, or how do you know whether that represents the pinnacle of the civilization or the degradation of the civilization? What do you know about that particular phase of history to ask yourself as to what does that represent? You have no idea. You're simply shooting arrows in the dark. Because now it's a convenient example to use a temple against the temple, period. The better argument to be actually made is a slightly different argument, which is that this identity, let's call it the alphabetical identity, has actually been given a place of dignity. But that's very different from saying that it's been made the normative mainstream. It's a very different argument to be made. And in this regard, you'll actually find several LGBTQ activists of the Hindutvavadi mold who will tell you what the history is. The unfortunate reality of that movement is that even their Hindutvavadis are excluded because of their subscription to Hindutva. There are several instances where they actually say, we don't need your philosophy to establish dignity in our societies because we already have that. At least we have enough examples of that. The society may have forgotten it, but there is a history of that, of institutionalizing it, of giving them support systems to ensure that if there is a loss of livelihood because of the adoption of that particular identity, there must be an alternate backup, so to speak. These are examples that people don't wish to talk about. 3, clearly, India is still a third world country, gradually moving up, but which has caught up with first world priorities as quickly as possible. Their problems have become our problems. And their problems have risen because of the lack of a spiritual grounding, and since they've achieved material prosperity, they don't know what to do after that. So they have started questioning everything. Am I a man? That is the next question. All sources of inquiry have come back and they've started biting you where it shouldn't. And you have started asking such fundamental questions that everything has been muddled. So which is why I don't think we need to do anything about the West. You sit back, have popcorn and Coke, they will implode. They will implode. What you need to do is to find ways of preventing that infection from spreading here. And there is no substitute for it if you think that this can be met only with logic and knowledge. In most circumstances in life, the filter is not knowledge. The filter is wisdom, and wisdom that is traceable to some spiritual grounding. That's usually the filter. As someone who comes or who's lived in Delhi for 14 years, it's a place which has everything to offer, the good, bad, and the ugly. Allow me to say this based on my first-hand experience, that had it not been for the dharmic filter, it's easy to get sucked into Lutyens' Delhi. So I think it's important to realize that the root of our problem is the lack of that core. Whether it is your self-loathing tendency or your inability to confidently own up to your association, how many people in this day and age are capable of actually saying, I go to the temple on so-and-so day. This is my temple day. I am observing this fast, and I will do so in your face. If you expect me to respect your fasting in a certain month, you will respect my fasting as well. How many people can say this? So in the 4th or 5th year of practice, as long as I was in the South before I switched to law, in the land of Dravidianism, there were still friends and people coming across communities who would actually plan temple visits, which remains the case even today, age being no barrier to it. So I asked people in Delhi, why don't we actually make a visit to Mathura or any other place? Then Mathura, why? What's there? Well, there's a Janmsthan there. No. We can't be seen as going there. And these were people who came from academic backgrounds, parents were academics. That explained everything actually. If you're an academic in Delhi, the red flag goes up immediately. Unless proven otherwise. And from there it has come to a point where now people are sporting Hanuman stickers on their cars openly, finally. That is what people aren't able to digest. Oh, angry Hanuman, angry Hindutva, toxic masculinity, they start. So, the society and schools cannot do what your parents must be doing. Because we are trying to catch up after the horses have bolted from the stables and trying to catch you at the tertiary stage, what should have been done in the primary stage and the secondary stage. So these are all band-aid efforts. The most localized, proximal, sincere and effective effort comes from the parent. I had the opportunity of reading out a message that I got on Instagram yesterday. Just allow me to read this out. And I'm not fabricating this. I can give you the timestamp also. I can tell you the name of the person, but I won't. Because the person has been kind enough to share such a heartfelt message that it was really moving. This is apart from all the hate mail that I get. And this is such a poignant message that I was just wondering how to respond to this poor child. So it says, this is a girl, and Hare Krishna sir, I'm an ISKCON devotee. I just saw your video where you're asking people to stop their children from becoming woke. This is why I'm picking up this example. From becoming woke. But what should those children do whose parents are themselves woke? What do you do for the child? No support system within the family. It goes further. I'm a devotee, but my parents, especially my father, is not letting me practice my faith peacefully. He is torturing me mentally. He is telling me, I will not let you complete your education. Go ask your God for money. I will not do anything for you from now on. I'm a very proud Sanatani. I'm born, this is her language, I'm born in a lower caste family, and my family has been brainwashed by so-called neophyte Buddhist Ambedkarwadis. And now my father hates Hindus and their gods, but I'm a proud practicing Hindu. I don't know how to deal with my father. And the last paragraph is the killer paragraph. I don't want to convert. But I'm a student, I have no source of income, and my father has refused to help me. From here, I would have expected her to ask me for financial help. She did not. You know what she says? It is high time for Hindus to teach their children about Sanatana Dharma. She still did not ask for money. You have that as an example, which is why I still have faith in Hindu youth across communities. And you compare and contrast this with the arrogant South Bombay types. I will say this bluntly. Compare this person who really has no reason to hold on to her faith when she is being tortured by her own parents with the well-fed, affluent, arrogant types who have their pastime is to take pot shots at the community, at its faith systems, at its cultural systems. So in a way, I'm actually happy that the efforts of the last 6-7 years have started bringing out these emotions to the fore. that people like us are not talking into ether. We are not interacting with the wall. We are actually interacting with a very live audience, which is finally presenting its problems and it's asking for solutions. At the very least, they're asking the right questions. She could have completely said, "Sir, I need money, help me." I would have completely bought it. I would have bought it. She chose not to. So imagine the self-respect the girl has, the dignity that she has, and her commitment to her dharma, because the priority of that message was dharma and not money. So therefore, if that is the textbook example of what is worst, what is saving that poor child is her devotion, is her Sanatana spirit, not anything else.